Okay, great. Yeah, that would have been horrible if I had have not turned on the recording. Okay, so I'm excited about today. There's quite a bit I want to share with you guys. And I'm also going to share some trends that I discovered this week, which are going to help you as well. So a couple things that I'm seeing is you guys are not necessarily getting a lot of views or traffic. And if you are, it's not converting. So I'm gonna give you guys like specific example as to why that is happening and how to fix that. But hold on, before we do that, actually, I always mean to do that, but I never do that. I'm gonna take a little screenshot of my screen. Um, one sec. There we go. Okay. So why am I getting no views? So let's talk about this. So part of the issue, and this is something that we covered last week, is that there's too much of the same listing ideas. And so there's a lot of sellers competing for the same kind of eyeballs, right? So with Valentine's, obviously, a lot of people are competing for the wife niche. And so what's happening is that there's a couple things. Like first, the wife niche is extremely difficult because, like I've mentioned in the past, there's just not a lot of men who shop on Etsy. They're a very small percentage. And then the second thing that's happening is that a lot of sellers are including like the same signature to my wife, to my soulmate, etc. Right? And so if we do a deeper dive, I just picked some tags from a listing that's generic. The tags that they're using as well are also very competitive, right? So soulmate gift, girlfriend, anniversary, from boyfriend, like these are extremely competitive niches. So in order for you to be able to rank, you would have to create something that is very different, that's very creative. And then additionally from that, there's a couple things you could do, right? One is by having a personalized listing where you would include the message card, the name of the person in the message, but you also would have to find a way to grab the attention of your customer so it really speaks to them. Um, so here's an example of like a winner. So this is working and is in a lot of different cards because, first of all, it's never been done. This is the first year that I see this message card. So what they did is they took like an old winner, which is essentially like there was one where it was like for the hunting niche. Um it's To My Smoking Hot Dough, which I believe is inside the course. So they kind of took the same concept, right? And changed it around, adding a man with a beer who's drinking beer, which fits with kind of a lot of men these days, like, kind of the trend of having a beer and drinking beer. And then he's also wearing a hat. So this concept, I can assure you that they probably found it by using Facebook advertising spy tools, which include Spy Pro. What else is there out there? Yeah, Spy Pro is like the ones that the one that is focused for print on demand. And again, like that's inside the course. So I'm 100% positive is that they found this idea by doing a search on the Facebook ad spying tool. And they saw that nobody on Etsy had this idea, and they were the first in the marketplace to upload this. So that's why it's working, because it's different. And then also, what's grabbing our attention is the graphic, right? Because if they just had To My Soulmate without that graphic, if you're a customer, and you're just going through the feed, it would have never caught your attention, right? So it catches our attention because they're also using that graphic. So it's twofold. The reason this is working is, one, it's tapping into trends. Two, it's never seen before. It's funny is the third thing. And it's going to tap into the reptilian brain of a male customer buying for his wife, right? He's going to identify to this necklace. He's going to find it funny because it's like, oh, that's me. I'm the dude who like drinks beer. And then the messaging is on point. It totally speaks to him, right? I'm not the guy that can say the right things in the most romantic way, uh, yada, yada, right? So it totally fits with the demo. And the reason this is working is because it's different and it's never seen before. Like I've never seen this listing in the 2 years that I've been on Etsy, right? Another thing is that's really interesting is that they don't necessarily have Valentine's, they don't necessarily have like Valentine's tags, which I found that interesting. So instead, they're going like anniversary necklace, funny gift, soulmate to my wife, wife anniversary, wife Christmas. What? So chances are they already had this for Christmas, and then they included Perfect Valentine probably in the title to rank it for Valentine's. But what's really smart is that they're using this like anniversary gift, which from previous research that I've done, like 1 year anniversary or all these anniversary gift, they actually have pretty low competition because a lot of people go for the more generic like wife anniversary. So there's a couple things to take into consideration, especially when you're going after these really competitive niche. You do have to be more creative, and you can do that by looking at ad spying tools or just by going on Facebook and looking at ads that are being served and looking how much engagement an ad has, or by looking at funny message cards. Like there's just a different ways to do that, right? So I'm not gonna lie, like this is the more complicated and harder way to go about it, simply because you're going after something that's so competitive that you do need to test more ideas in order to find something that's really gonna resonate, right? So again, like this is something from someone who's in the group, and so I kind of wanted to dissect like why it's not working, even though the idea is cute, right, and has potential. So you're the most wonderful thing I've ever found on the internet. So I like that. It's super cute, right? But part of the problem is this font is kind of hard to read. Like right here and like right now, it's fine. But like when you actually have this up as a thumbnail, competing with other thumbnails, it's kind of hard to read. So I would make that font a little bit more prominent. Additionally, from that, um, yeah, like darker colors just outperform when it comes to the design perspective. Like you need a darker color in order for it to do better, right? Um, the phone emoji is cute, but I would actually make it smaller and I would make it here on the left or right hand side. And then you actually need a stronger message in the bottom because that's just not enough to pull me in as a customer to pay $47 for this. So a lot of times, because essentially like people are not buying the necklace per se. What they're buying is the emotions that you're selling. And so unfortunately, what you have here is not enough to pull me in emotionally as a customer, right? So you make me so happy and I love you endlessly. That's just not enough an emotional pull for me to, as a consumer, like feel a connection with this listing. So the reason the other listing works, again, if we go back to that, it's because as a man who drinks beer, you know, I identify with the fact that I don't say the right things to my wife. And I might not be the perfect knight in a shiny armor, but I'll always be your smoking hot, booty touching, beer drinking best friend who will love, protect, and annoy you to the ends of the earth and back. Like, as a man who's not able to, you know, say those words to my wife, like, this is why I'm purchasing it. Like, that's the purpose of this. Versus the other one, like, doesn't really do much. And I mean, sorry, I don't want to be so blunt, but I hope that helps. Okay, we have a question here. Would spypro.io be good for finding winning Facebook shine on ads? Yes, absolutely. I recommend you use SpyPro. So, so I wanted to break something down and show you kind of like an example. Oops, let me present again. Okay, so I'm trying to remember how I stumbled upon this. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I stumbled upon this because I was doing a quick search on Etsy with funny gift for wife. And I found this, right? You don't look a day over fine as fuck. I love it. So first of all, it's $6.99, which for a birthday card, it's usually pretty expensive because like birthday cards usually like go around like $3, like $5 max. But okay, so obviously we have to take into consideration that the pricing, right? But then, so I was like, oh my God, 37 cells. This is flying off the shelves. Like, I need to reverse engineer and understand why this is doing so well. So there's a couple things. First, the design is very trendy. Like, this is a font and design that I'm seeing over and over again, whether it's like t-shirts and whatnot. So that's one of the reason this is doing well. And then the second thing I did when I opened my Etsy hunt is I looked at the tags, right? So I found it because I was looking for funny gift for wife. But if you look at and this is like very telling, right? To tell you why something's doing well and also finding niches you might have not thought of. So the reason this is doing well is they're going after the 30th birthday niche, which is a really good niche to go after, the 40th birthday niche as well, lesbian birthday, funny birthday card, wife, birthday card for wife. So it's a birthday card, right? And they're going after all these different niches. And if you go on eRank, you know, and you look for some of these keywords, you're going to see that they're a little less competitive. So that's actually really smart of them, right? Like, and this could actually even be a Valentine's card, right? So I'm like, oh my God, like, I haven't seen that saying anywhere. I have not seen this saying anywhere. I love the design and I love how they're going after all these other niches. So if we do a little bit of digging, essentially what I recommend that you do, sorry, let me mute my phone because I'm getting completely distracted. Focus, work. So what I recommend or what I would do, right, is that, okay, well, this could actually work in other categories, right? It could work as a t-shirt. With the t-shirt, what I would do, because I don't know if necessarily I would wear a shirt that says that, but I would still try it with like, obviously you don't want to rip the entire design. Like you want to like find a way to make it a little different. And you can find inspiration by going on Pinterest and other places to kind of like get a sense of like, obviously this like psychedelic slash like 60s font works, but like find a way to like obviously add your own flavor to it, right? So I would try t-shirts, but with the t-shirts, what I would also try is try to come up with like a phrase that is similar, but that I could still wear as a t-shirt. So how would I do that? I would look at other funny phrases like for birthday niche to see if there's a way I can combine those messages. So that's the first thing I would do. And then, I mean, I would also put this in a candle. I would put this in the tumbler. But okay, every time, by the way, I choose a category, I am ensuring that that category has enough search volume. Because if there's only 30 people, right, like looking for a funny candle, birthday candle, I'm not going to waste my time uploading that. So I need to make sure that I have the data of enough people looking for that specific item for me to actually upload it. But I know from my research that t-shirts and tumblers would do well. You could even do a shine on necklace with this. But again, in order for it to work, like it would have to be a birthday gift where you don't look a day over fine as fuck on top, right? Where like the signature is. And in the bottom, you would have to still have a really strong message. Actually, let me do this really quickly. Let me open a new window because I want to show you there's like a bestseller. There's a couple bestsellers like in the 30th birthday niche. 30th birthday necklace. Okay. So let me, oh my God. I hate when my E-Rank is not uploading. Okay. So 30th birthday necklace. There's one, well, this one I know is doing really well. There's one that's like I would shank a hoe for you. Um, but I'm not seeing it. So I know this one is like a bestseller. There's a couple reasons for it. One is because it has like the three circles, right? So we cannot deny the fact that that's part of it. But what I would do is I would look at the message that they have and I would combine it with that message that I showed you, right? Which says, you don't look a day over fine as fuck. And the thing is, too, is I would not, so in order to grab more traffic, I would not pigeonhole myself into 30th birthday because this could apply to like a 60th birthday. Like this could apply to so many other niches. So I would try to like open it up as much as possible so I can like grab that traffic and just make it like a birthday necklace, like a funny birthday necklace for a wife, for a friend, etc. So essentially what you would want to do is like find these like 30th birthday necklaces and find a message that does well. Yeah, so I don't know. Oh, here. Well, they haven't had many sales, so that's just not good for us. Let's see. Yeah, so essentially that's what I usually do. Like I just kind of like look for opportunities and I look at what's selling, right? And so when I see something that like essentially I always try to find a way to differentiate myself from other sellers, right? And especially from other Etsy, Shine On sellers. So then there's like another niche, which doesn't have a lot of traffic, but you could also apply it to that niche, which is the LGBT niche. This necklace is a bestseller, which is surprising because there's not enough of a message. But the reason it's working well for them is twofold. First is because they have a unique necklace where it's a rainbow. So obviously someone who identifies as LGBT, like they would want to wear a rainbow necklace. And then the second thing is, I'm pretty sure they were like one of the first listings to sort of have this. And then obviously like the branding, they have a really strong branding. However, this gives me like data. Oh my God, there's like actually a lot of opportunities. So what I would do, and this is like, again, something that is a low hanging fruit, is I would so I would work with Outprint, which is the vendor, print on demand supplier that is based in the Netherlands. I would grab a rainbow SVG on Etsy. I would just like buy a rainbow SVG and then I would create working with Alex, who's the owner of Outprint, to give me access to, because you can like personalize those little medallions, and I would include rainbow, and then the message card. I would actually put more work into it and have a message that really resonates with that specific demographic. Don't make it generic. So I would find poems on Pinterest, which are LGBTQ, right? Just to kind of get a sense of like what would work. That's actually how I found a lot of my bestsellers, is by going on Pinterest and finding poems. So LGBTQ poem. Yeah, so I mean, you have to kind of swift through, and I'm going to share my screen here. So essentially, yeah, you have to swift through to get a sense of like what has potential of doing well. Like if it's too poemy sounding, like don't do that. Another thing you could do, by the way, is using ChatGPT or any of those copy AI tools. So they help you with copywriting and then give it a bunch of data. So a way to create the prompts, by the way, is um, you have to tell it who the prompt is for, right? So please write me a 200 or 150 word message to my girlfriend from a girlfriend. I identify as LGBTQ. Like you have to give it like all these different prompts so it's like as precise as possible. And you could also do is like look at something here that you think works and then give it to the be like, ha, ChatGPT, like when you cannot breathe and the walls are crashing down, la la la, can you create another version of this? So, I mean, a lot of possibilities are available for you to like rewrite things using ChatGPT. Okay, so that's that. The next thing I want to share with you guys is okay, so let's kind of go to the root as to why your listings are not getting you the sales and the views that you're wanting. And then I'm going to break down how to fix that. So you're uploading in a really competitive niche, right? And you're not finding a way to differentiate yourself. Like usually that's the reason. Like, so if everybody is uploading to my wife, to my wife, to my wife, to my wife, the customer's eye is going to get tired. They're not going to go and swift through the 6 page of Etsy. So like your chances of getting a sell or getting any eyeballs are really small. So you need to come up, the more competitive a niche, the more you need to be creative. That's just the rule of it. So a lot of time is because, like I said, the listing is too generic and it offers no value. So it gets lost, right? You're using too many high competition keywords. So you have to balance it out with high competition keywords and low competition keywords. But make sure that whatever keyword you're using, there's at least 1,000 searches because per month. Because if there's less than 1,000 searches per month, it's going to be really difficult for you to get enough traffic to really get traction. And you know that that's just something that's really obscure, a keyword that's really obscure and people don't really use, right? So you want to make sure that you don't go after niches that don't have enough search volume. So I'm going to share an example. And this is the framework that I want you guys to use. So essentially, the first one, and this is what I'm gonna spend the most time on today, is like research, like finding those gold seeds, right? So you really want to understand what customers are buying on Etsy. So what are they buying? And where is there an opportunity for me to go into this niche and provide value? Because and I'm going to share a specific example of like couple trends I found this week, but like you really need to figure out, okay, so if everybody's selling t-shirts in this niche, is there room for me to like sell a necklace or sell a tumbler or sell another category, right? In order to penetrate that niche. So that's the first thing. The second thing is like psychology, right? So just like I showed in the previous example of like the To My Husband with the cartoon holding a beer, the reason that works is because it really speaks to the psychology of that customer who's buying that item. The same would apply to like a military man or somebody who's in the army who's deployed. If they see a message really speaking about their experience being deployed and how they miss their wife, well, chances are they're going to purchase that gift, right? Versus the one that's super generic that says To My Wife. So that's really like the hardest thing that takes time to crack, but I'm going to help you guys crack through it. So once you figured out where there's potential and where you could potentially sell something, then obviously you need to build momentum, and then you need to plant what I call planting as many crops as possible, right? So you need to publish as many listings as possible because you're testing out this new niche that you found and you want to see where there's opportunities. And then you're going to look at, okay, what are people favoriting? If they're favoriting it and not buying, you can give it about a week. Usually, like sometimes it takes about a week for the listing to kind of like get live. But if after a week or two, it's still getting favorited and you're not getting sales, it means that something's wrong with your listing. So you need to go back to the drawing board, look at what's working and try to figure out a way to optimize it and just continue testing and testing. And so once you find that winner, which you will find the winner, you will find a winner, you want to scale it, right? So if you have something that's working, like a concept that's working, like let's say with that necklace again, I would scale it. I would try to find a way, like, can I make that idea into a t-shirt? Like, can I make that idea into different categories in order for me to really own in into this niche that I found and this winner that I found? So let's talk about research and finding a good niche and finding good opportunities. So this is from someone inside the coaching group, but she's doing downloadables. And so she was going after like the kids journal niche, right? And so if you look on eRank, you can see, okay, there's like a healthy search volume, but it's not that big, right? 2,900, but it's pretty competitive. And then we see like kids gratitude journal. Competition is really low, and Google search are about 1,000. So in your head, you're like, okay, cool, this could be an interesting niche. But this is why you always need to confirm what you're finding on eRank by going on Etsy. Because if I do a quick search on Etsy, the data is very different. Kids journal. So the sales are actually not that healthy. The sales are actually pretty dull, like 3 sales, 2 sales. And this is actually like a sketchbook for kids. So it's not like actual like downloadable. So the data that I found, the sales were pretty bad. This one's doing really well, 31, but it's birth month flower. So it's not just specific to kids. And it's an actual leather journal that you can personalize. So that's the reason this one's going off the walls. And again, so this is actually a perfect example. So I've talked about the birth flower a few times here, but this is a concept that is working in jewelry. So this person who listed that, they found leather journals and uploaded it to leather journals. And I don't personally remember who sells leather journals because I don't sell that, but I do think there's a supplier. I'll have to look it up for you guys because it's not, I don't know who it is right now. Sometimes when prompting ChatGPT to write funny, dirty message, it will refuse. All you have to do is explain why you're asking it to write it for you, and it will. Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, I haven't tried funny messages with ChatGPT actually. So thanks for that. And I'll talk more about that. So another thing is I did like kids gratitude journal, right? So the search volume seems a little healthier here, but kind of run into the same problem where there's just not enough sales for me to go into this niche, right? So you always want to look at how many sales something is getting, because here I would not go into this niche because like there's just not enough sales. So it seems like it's not really a product that is in such high demand. And if it is in demand, it's more like physical journal. It's not necessarily the iPad or downloadables. So again, like before I do anything, like I do my research as to like what niche has like a potential. So let's talk about how you're going to do that, right? And I'm going to talk as well about some trend spotting things that I saw this week. Oh, sorry. What did I do? Oh, what the hell did I do? Hold on, give me a sec. I don't know, it's not loading. Um, oh, here. Why is it not loading? Okay. All right. So the first thing is, okay, so I stumbled upon this niche. And how did I stumble upon it? Well, I spent a lot of time on Etsy. And what I do is when I find something that's doing well, I actually go on the store. And that's how I am able to find a lot of things that might not be so obvious, right? So Velaris is actually a city from a book. And it's kind of very obscure, but yet that's why that's such an amazing niche to go after. So I was like, oh, interesting. Like I saw on Etsy that these Velaris t-shirts were getting a lot of sales. and it's pretty obscure, right? And I went on Google Trends to kind of get a sense of, okay, is there an uptrend? And the trend's pretty healthy. As you can see, like there is kind of a bit of an uptrend going on, right? So it is trending. I also went on Pinterest Trends, which is just do a Google search for Pinterest Trends to kind of get a sense of like the interest over time. And what's great about Pinterest Trend is that it tells me, okay, the demo is 25 to 34. So that's a good demo. It also gives me like related trends. It's mainly female, so that's great because that's what Etsy is, mainly female. So I know this has like a lot of potential. This is a t-shirt, or sorry, a sweatshirt that's selling really well. So they're using a quote from inside the book. Now, I do not recommend that you do that because you could have copyright issues, but using Velaris is fine because like that's not copyrighted per se, right? But when you do use the quote, like, I mean, you're tapping into dangerous territory. So there's a couple of reasons why this is doing really well if we dissect it. First, can you see that this font, it's the same font that we saw earlier with that message card, right? So I know that, okay, this font is definitely trending. This style is definitely trending. Another thing that I've noticed is like t-shirts and sweatshirts with the design in the back seem to be doing really well and seem to be trending. They chose black, which is smart because obviously, like someone who's into this Velaris thing, like they're probably a little bit more goth and into cats. Like, so that's the other thing. You have to really dissect the person who's into this. And a quick hack that you can do is like by going on Instagram and doing tag search for Velaris, you can literally see accounts of people who are into this book. And you can totally, I mean, it's a little bit of spying, but like you can see the kind of lifestyle they have, right? And a lot of it was like, yeah, people are into cats. Like it's just like a different a specific archetype of consumer. So I did a little bit more research for you guys. I'm going to open this up. Okay, just to kind of show you the potential here. So here. All right, so Velaris, super healthy search, 5,400. And so this one's going off the shelf, 11, 42 cells, 24 cells, 22. I mean, a lot of healthy cells and not necessarily a lot of competition. So just by doing Velaris by itself, I'm seeing a lot of t-shirts and sweatshirts, but I still think there's still opportunities for you to go into it. Look, this candle is blowing it out of the water, and there's only one, well, there's like two candles. So potential for candles here, you know, with within that niche. Potential as well for like tumblers and mugs. Lots, I would even say potential as well for a necklace. So I told somebody in the group to try this, but essentially, you could literally download this PNG, which you can use for commercial use, right? It's a Velaris PNG, and you could add this to an owl print necklace, and then obviously you'd have to come up with a message. That's the hard part. But you could literally ask ChatGPT, like, because maybe ChatGPT has access to what is inside the book, right? So you could be like, hey, can you write me encouragement message as if you were a character from this book Velaris, and see what it comes up with. And then you tweak it accordingly. But I mean, so many healthy sales, guys. Like I'm in the second page and like still some of these listings are getting like 12 plus sales. So this is really hot. This is a really hot niche, which I really recommend you go after. So yeah, there's even potential of doing like a shine-on necklace. So another niche that I stumbled upon was mental health, and I'm going to explain to you how I stumbled upon it. So there's a girl on YouTube, which I stumbled upon, who sells, and she doesn't do print on demand. She sells sweatshirts and apparel that is related around mental health. And I'm pretty sure I shared it inside the coaching Facebook group. But I was like very intrigued. I was like, oh my God, like I had no idea like this like mental health niche is so prominent. So again, I did a quick search and I also did a quick search for anxiety. And those like anxiety actually is almost like a better niche than mental health in general. Um, and I was like, okay, really interesting. Um, oh wait. So I'm going to show you my Etsy screen of what I found within that niche. And so where is it? Anxiety. Oh, here, anxiety niche. So anxiety niche is really interesting and I think has a lot of potential. Like the volume is 1,900 per month. So it is a little bit more niche down. However, there's just a lot of anxiety necklaces and jewelry. Now, okay, let's not kid ourselves, right? The reason some of this stuff works is because, like they're using crystals and like it's like those like anxiety bracelets. So it would not necessarily work with a shine on necklace, but it could. I mean, to be tested. Now, a silly little journal for my silly mental health, like that's doing really well. They've had a really healthy amount of sales. They just listed it last year, right? So, this could be a digital download. I mean, obviously you'd have to do more research to see like what the competition is like, but um or this could even be a t-shirt. I mean, I just really like obviously you have to change it. A silly little this for my like silly like you'd have to rework the message, but like this tells you that this is doing well. So this my anxiety is chronic, but this ass is iconic. It's funny and it's doing really well, like 30 cells. And again, the same kind of font. It's the back sweater or the back of the sweater. So we're seeing patterns, right? So that's kind of the thing when you're identifying trends. Like you look at patterns to get a sense of like what are people into, and then where is there an opportunity? So anxiety niche is really hot. This warrior one is not doing so hot. Um, I think partially because it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't really like identify with the word anxiety, like warrior. It's probably more for like yeah, it says anxiety necklace, but yeah, it's probably not working because it doesn't really have much reference to anxiety. And then people are probably purchasing these rock necklaces instead or bracelets. Like anxiety bracelets seems to be doing really well. So for this niche, my recommendation would be twofold. Like one is find a way to have like an anxiety messaging with like an outprint necklace or even try shine on. Try to come up with like an encouraging necklace message. And you can do that by looking at some of these other encouragement necklace that perhaps are available on Etsy and looking for bestsellers again. So I would look at some of these like encouragement necklaces to get a sense of like what has potential. And then the other thing I would do is like for the anxiety is try to come up with like mugs, apparel, like candles, because we saw a lot of shirts, but we didn't see necessarily a lot of candles. So there's really an opportunity here to like own in that niche as well. Okay. And then there's another niche that I found. And this I found on my Instagram feed. And this is to my daughter. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, always remember to pray on it, pray over it, and pray through it. So obviously it's doing well because it's a little cross, but like this could be an opportunity. Like, and again, this is a low-hanging fruit to use some of the crosses that are available with Shine On and create like a similar message. Like I would add more meat to this message, but overall, like you could have the message card, you could play with different things. Like the signature could be pray on it, pray over it, pray through it. or like keep this necklace to remember, and then yada yada. And then you'd have to have like an actual message. Having something from the Bible is totally fine, by the way. It's not copyrighted. Or you could just you obviously you have to look at what is best selling, and again, Frankenstein it. You always That's my recommendation. Like it's just the easiest way to like find what's going to potentially sell. But again, like so I really look everywhere to look at opportunities. Like this is an ad and I saw how much engagement it had and I was like, "Oh, wow, this is really hot." The reason it's doing well because it's a simple reminder, it's a ring and it's a simple reminder for someone who's religious, like to remember, to pray. And yeah, it's just like a simple touch, right? And this is like for a daughter. So again, finding inspiration everywhere. So here's what I want you to do. Like essentially when you're looking for these trends, and you can even tap into some of the trends that I shared today, by the way, right? But you want to look at search volume. So you want to make sure that there's enough of a search volume. So the Velaris example that I shared, we see that there's like 5,400 as far as like search volume. So that's a very healthy search volume. Like that's enough to sustain a bestseller for you guys, right? And the reason I like that Volaris thing as well is because it's going to be evergreen. So it's going to be able to get you through the holidays, right? So look at what hasn't been done. Like that is really the hardest part. Like when something is doing well, you need to figure out a way of like, okay, how can I make it better? So if the sweatshirt's doing really well, like, can I do a different kind of sweatshirt, like coming up with, and you can come up with different ideas by looking at other categories, by looking, like I say, like looking at funny message cards, like just looking at all these different places and finding ways to like really Frankenstein it. Um, yeah, is someone successful? So if there's multiple people who are successful selling that specific item in that niche, like we saw Velaris, right? Like there's a couple sellers who are getting 20, like over 10 sales a week. So we know that's a really hot niche and that has a lot of potential. So those are all the little check marks that you want to have in order to know whether you want to go into that niche or not. And then you can go ahead and go in it. And so the reason that's going to work for you is because everyone on Shine On right now is like focusing on going after the wife and whatever, the wife niche. And so they're crowding that space, but you're going to go ahead and create something else that no one's thinking of, right? So it's almost like your sneaky way of entering the marketplace by creating something that's very unique. So again, like if you haven't done this already, make sure that you come up with like all these different niches, like use the Excel sheet as needed, look for best opportunities of keywords, and have a mix of high competition and low competition, and then really spy on your competition, right? So another thing that I recommend that you do is like literally look at what is doing well. So what I usually do, like I click on this and I look at their store. They're getting 343 weekly sales. So they're doing decent. They started last year. So they're doing really well. So I'm going to look at everything that they're selling and I'm going to see at kind of like, okay, so they are selling the anxiety sweatshirt, it seems like, because like those are the same images, like they're doing Volaris. So I'm going to look at, okay, is there other niches I might have not thought of, which I can tap into? And then also, by the way, I look at reviews. So this is pretty recent. So people are buying this Volaris sweatshirt thing. When the reviews are recent, it's like people are still buying this and it gives you really good insights. Obviously, this is like something from Christmas, but like, so I would say this is definitely a print on demand store. They're killing it. So you want to make sure that you dissect their data and find a way for you to either, you could even go into the same category. You could do candles with some of those ideas. Obviously, you'll always have to rework it. You cannot copy word for word, right? And try to see if there's a way for you to like go into necklace or any other sort of other category where there's potential. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to start answering your questions. They use the quote though. Yeah, they use the quote. Absolutely. So, I mean, yeah. Um, I would say try to figure out a way to like not use the quote, or maybe you can rephrase the quote of the Valaris book would be my recommendation. All right, guys. So what do you need more clarification with? What was the name of that last store? Yeah, the last store's name is Portland Apparels. I'm gonna include it here so you guys can look at it. And again, okay, so actually let me share my screen because so we can kind of dissect their store. Um, Share. I mean, and again, like this is a perfect example of like what people teach you on YouTube is bullshit because look, like their banner is really not that great. Their banner is kind of mediocre. Let's be perfectly honest, right? But they do a really good job with their mock-ups because they're not using like the traditional mock-ups. Like they went out of their way to, and this could be like they might have done this on their own. They went out of their way to like go to Whole Foods, you know, and create this mock-up, or this could be something that they bought because you can buy mock-ups as well. But they're doing a really good job with like also showing like the different color charts. Um, so because they're using a different mock-up where it's not just this, which is what you probably would download from a print-on-demand supplier, this is what's helping them get more traction. And then they do a really good job like having the sizing chart, like using all everything to show you kind of like, okay, these are all the different options that we have. And they have a lot of options. It seems like they're doing sweatshirts, hoodies, and t-shirts. Okay, so that does help. It seems like they're combining their listings. Um, with Printify, you cannot combine listings like that. The only way you could do that is by doing, yeah, by manually ordering it every time and creating a manual listing on Etsy, which is what they're probably doing, which is a kind of pain in the butt. But when you say sub niches, do you mean mother-in-law or bonus mom instead of mother? Yes. Yes, that's kind of what I mean, but I also mean like looking at trends as well. Um, yeah, because well, yeah, let me not confuse you. But yeah, I mean that is what I mean, but I would say like the family niche, I'm finding, especially from you guys, like it's getting really competitive. Mother-in-law, you have to like find something like so mother-in-law, right? Like let's look at this niche. So super healthy search volume, okay? Um, but there's a decent amount of competition already. So mother of the groom is doing well, and probably the reason being is because there's not that many necklaces that say mother of the groom. Most of them say mother-in-law. Um, so the sales are kind of like, especially for necklaces, I mean, granted, it's not Mother's Day or there's like, it's not necessarily wedding season either, but the sales are like not amazing. So this one, they had 2.4 thousand sales, but they've been around for 2 years. This one has had more sales, but it's a message cart. It's 350, so that's why. But I would say, yeah, you have to find like these like trending sub niches. That's the way to do it in 2023 because from the data I'm getting hearing back from you guys, like you guys are just not cracking the family niches. So try to find those like weird trends and try to create products around that. Or like we looked at the digital downloads, right? The kids journal. So let's see, gratitude journal. I think that's super crowded, but I found something else that, let me see. By the way, that's another print on demand supplier that's doing store that's doing really well. They have 98 weekly sales. And again, like I just love to look at what's selling for them. And again, it's the same font over and over again. So that we know that that's trending. Um, but hold on, there's something that I found earlier I wanted to share with you guys, and I think I forgot to share it. Oh, here. Um, okay, so Gratitude Journal has a really healthy search volume, right? If you were to do downloadables. But part of the problem is that it is pretty competitive. So I think what I did is I clicked on this because this is like a really, it's a bestseller. They have like 30 sales in the last 7 days, and then I actually went on their store. So their store is getting a decent amount of sales. They just started like this summer, and they don't have that many products. So what I like to do is actually look at some of these other items that are selling. And so what I stumbled upon was like these digital stickers. And I'm like, digital stickers, what the hell is that? So that's a niche that probably not a lot of people are going after. And so I'm like, oh, see, there's like a nugget right here. Because while everybody's going after gratitude journal, I might be able to go after digital stickers. So obviously the search volume is not as high because it's more of a sub niche. But then I would have to do the research and be like, okay, like, I mean, the really healthy search volume, all these listings have at least 20 sales or more. Now, obviously, it's priced kind of on the lower end. Their stickers are selling for $5. So there's opportunities to sell it for $5. I mean, you'd have to like provide value, right? But this could be a sub niche within this like digital planner niche. Now, don't ask me what digital stickers are because I have no idea. But so that's kind of how I find these like niches. Digital student planner. Oh my God, that's even hotter. 51 cells in the last 7 days. So that's another one. Everybody's doing like digital planner, but they're not going after this like sub niche of like digital student planners. Okay, so the search volume is a little lower, but okay, if it ever loads. Yeah, sorry, it's not loading. But essentially, I would want to see how many cells these other competitors are getting. And then obviously, when you go in, you always have to figure out a way to like differentiate yourself, right? Like what's missing in the marketplace, you really have to study. Does that make sense, guys? Yes, no. Uh, as far as design, there's a couple things. Kittle is something I recommend you look into. Oops. Um, so this is kind of like a new design um software that came out that I recommend you look into. Like it allows you to have like these like funky fonts and edit it, which Canva doesn't really allow that as much. They have like more functionality. Midjourney is like the new AI tool that as well does like really good illustrations. So those are like the two sort of new kids on the block when it comes to design. And I would say if you're looking to do apparel, like Kittle could be really interesting for you guys. Awesome. So really, guys, like I would say like you can even use like some of the niches as far as Valentine's come, like it's done. Valentine's is finito. So what I would do with your listings, so to be honest, like most of the listings that I saw from the guys who like sent me their store, I would say your listings are too generic, so that's why you're not getting any traction. Um, so I would try to like there's a couple of ways you can go at it, right? So I would say for you guys, like it's easier to kind of like find this like weird sub niche that still has a healthy search volume, at least 1,000 or more. and figure out a way how to penetrate that niche and like really go after it and upload as many listings as possible, but try to go for a niche that's evergreen. Because like for now, like Valentine's, forget it. Mother's Day, like I don't want you to guys to focus on Mother's Day simply because I'd rather have you find this like evergreen niche that's going to get you sales like right now. Because once you crack that, it's going to be easier to crack these more competitive niche. I think what you guys are struggling with right now, like based on what I'm seeing, is that I'm having you guys go after really competitive niche, and because you're just getting started and you're new to this, like it's harder for you to penetrate the marketplace. So instead, go after these like weird niches. Like Gothic is a great niche to go after, the Gothic niche. There's another thing that I heard of. It's called cottagecore, which is like a trend. Um, yeah, hold on. Let me share it here. Cottage. It's like a trend. And so what I would do is go on Pinterest to kind of look like what is cottagecore. Let's look it up and like look at some of the designs. So I find niches or ideas by just really being active looking at everything. Um, so cottagecore t-shirt. Let's see. Yeah, so like these like I know these like mushroom necklaces are like really in, like anything mushroom related. Um, but interesting. I didn't know that this was like considered cottagecore. Um, anyway, so yeah, like look into this niche as well and see if there's like a way for you guys to like penetrate it with like shine on or through wearables or through candles, etc. Does that make sense? Yes, yes, yes. It's kind of weird when you guys like only like chat via the chat. And I'm like talking to myself. But yeah, I get it. It's like Saturday morning. Or yeah, I guess for me it is. All right, guys. So please do me a favor, upload, upload, upload. And by the end of next week, like share with my team the link of your store. So then I can review each of your store and I can look at what has potential. Because right now, from everything I've seen, like unfortunately, it needs more work. So continue uploading so I can provide you like feedback and use these like obscure niche. Yeah, of course, guys. All right. So keep me posted. Please do not upload any more Valentine stuff. Like focus on evergreen and go after these weird niches and look everywhere for inspiration, whether it's like Instagram, invest in like Facebook ads, the Facebook ads tool. Like I know it's a lot, but like think about it. Like spending $100 is nothing to the ability to find a winning product that's going to make you thousands. So look at it that way. All right, guys. Well, keep me posted and please share your links by end of next week. All right. Take care. Bye, guys.